everybody, it's Jean here in my sewing room, Jean's Block Party 2019. We are on block 21 and block 22. We are halfway there. We are halfway there. Do you believe it? It's awesome. It's awesome. I have a master copy on my, obviously on my computer, where everybody's been sending me pictures in for their block party to my webpage, the whateverquiltclub.com. And when I go to upload them, the whole master copy shows me all these bright quilts because you're putting so many blocks together, and they're up on the webpage. Just so pretty. Just so pretty. I just love it. I really love it. I hope you're enjoying this too. Really wonderful. So block 21. Now, if you followed along with our block party 2018, you will know that this block is my favorite block in the world. Okay, yeah, it's my 3-seam 10-minute quilt block, and I made it 12-inch square in 2018, and I just love it. And if you haven't seen on my video, it's so funny. I guess about 6 videos in, I was still having Maxwell and Elliot sort of film me. I didn't know what I was doing. And my room was a mess, and oh, it was just terrible. But I was demonstrating this quilt block, and it's my most popular video. I have like 150 or 170,000 views on that one video, and I sort of am embarrassed because I've gotten a little bit better, a little bit more organized, a little bit cleaner. But everybody's like, that's an awesome block, and I just love it. I just love it. So I'm demonstrating it again on a 9-inch. 9.5-9-inch finished block. So here is my block 21. Yeah, it's my 3-seam. That's it, 3 seams. And you're going, well, what in the world? It's curved piecing. No curved piecing. Not intricate. Careful stitching, but no curved piecing. And I explain it every step of the way, how you get these lovely points in this center section. So if you haven't made it before, don't be daunted. It's fun, it's easy. Just take it steady and follow the directions. Absolutely perfect. There's the back. The back should look as pretty as the front. And then there it is. And this is using actually 6 pieces of fabric, 6 different fabrics if you wish. And what we have here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, which I'm referring to as the background fabric, and then what's called the frame fabric. Maybe you can't see it, but I have something I want to show you. And then this is called the picture fabric, this little tiny bit inside. What I did is I was trying to figure out how to make the 9-inch block, the 9-inch finish, the 9.5-inch raw edge block, and I was experimenting. I thought, oh, excuse me, my hair is coming out. I just got out of the shower. Sometimes I make the block up to make in other fabrics to make sure I'm doing it right. And this is the block I first did, because I thought, oh, if I take charm squares, I just grabbed 4 charm squares. If I take charm squares and put them together, I'll get a 9.5-inch block. I didn't. It was slightly small. And this is not the block. This is using 5-inch charm squares. Okay. And then this, and you will see, like, you're like, well, that doesn't look like that. It will do. I didn't finish this. I didn't iron it. I didn't finish it. But 5-inch blocks don't work. So then I cut my own at 5 1/4, and that's the measurement. So these pieces, these 4 pieces here, are 5 1/4. This was just an experimental block. Now maybe you can see here better that there's a higher contrast frame, and then another different fabric for the picture. My block is a little bit more subtle because I only have 2 colors. What I do have, and I'll show you up close, obviously, I have a frame, which is a little tiny white and red dot, and then the bigger red and white dot for my picture. But this shows it a little bit better. And you, by all means, if you would like to use just 2 different fabrics, or 4, or 2 fabrics here and 2 fabrics here, or you want to make it really scrappy and do 4 fabrics, by all means do that. Or you can do 1 fabric for all 4 and then just have the frame pop. Whatever you want to do. But I give you the exact dimensions that you need to make block number 21. And I have made this block and this quilt. I have made about a dozen of these quilts using this block. It's the most versatile block. It really is. That makes up so very quickly. And perhaps that's the reason why my video is so popular. Because people make it and they're going, oh my word, like, are you kidding? If you used 10-inch squares here, if you use 10-inch squares, you end up with a block that looks like that, which is like, wow, this big. 18 inches finished, or 20 inches finished, or something like that. It's amazing, and yet it looks so intricate, and it looks so almost difficult. It makes up so very quickly. You can make a queen size quilt if you use 10-inch squares very quickly, which I'm going to show at the end of this, at the end of my tutorial. I'm going to show you all of the. I did about a dozen of them. I didn't film. In the very beginning. I didn't photograph a couple of them, but since then I've photographed the different fabrics and the different ways that you can make this block. Now, when you go to the end of the video, try to figure out where in the world is this block, because it's so incredibly versatile, and the different fabrics I've used. So I think that was just interesting. They're the quilts I've made, small and large, and you'll see, like, oh my word, that block. So this is my block 21, which is my favorite block in the world. So that is block 21. That's my block party for today. I'll be on to block 22. Oh, which I will give you a heads up. So easy. So easy. There's my block 22. But I'm going to put my video up next for my block 22. This is block 21. Follow the directions very carefully to get that finished size. And I got the finished size, and then actually it was slightly big. I had to just slice off a little bit, but better big than small. This one with the 5-inch squares was a little bit too small, slightly small. So I made it slightly larger, and then I just squared it up. So that's block number 21. I hope you're enjoying it. And yeah, on to block number 22. All right, see you later, folks. Bye. So, here we are on block number 21, my favorite block that I have to put this in. I did it in my 2018 block party for a 12-inch square, as you know, but this is for our 9.5-inch square, 9-inch finished square. So this, follow along with me. This is what we're going to cut right now. For that background, the 4 pieces of fabric, that I'm calling that my background, not my fabric A, B, and C today. This is my background fabric. You are going to be cutting 4 5.25-inch squares. As I've said there, I've cut these a little bit bigger so we can cut this block down. But I didn't want to use a 5-inch square because it just doesn't quite work. So I've cut it a little bit bigger. Cut 4 5.25-inch squares. For our frame around our block, I want you to cut 1 5.25 square. Now your frame, you want to have a brighter, a separate color, a color that will really pop out of your background fabric. Now my fabrics are just red and white, but I'm choosing to have my white frame. Only a little bit's going to show, as you know, only a little bit's going to show, but it makes the world of difference. Now, from my picture fabric, I don't want you to cut anything right now, but what I've done is, because it might vary slightly for how you're sewing, so I don't want you to cut this, but for argument's sake right now, I have cut this, and I might have to cut it a little bit different. I have cut one piece 2 3/4, but my prototype I had cut 3 inches. I'm going to figure it out, and I'll show you when we get to this, when we get to that step, I will show you. So your picture fabric, what you have in mind, don't cut it right now. I've bought my black background fabric and my framing fabric over to my machine on my design board. And if it makes a difference to you, if you want to do it really specific, you can. If you want to keep it random, but I want to have this configuration. I have a geometric, a tiny floor, and a medium-sized floor. That's the way I want my background to look. And if you want to do it random, by all means you can. But if you want your look to look like this, it's very important that you follow these instructions now. Not hard, it's just a little bit tricky. So what I want to do is I have my background fabric looking the way I want it to look, finished with my little frame in here. This is my framing piece. What I've done is I'm just folding it in half. I'm folding it in half. I'm not ironing this piece, just sort of folding it in half, and I'm placing that piece folded right on top of my bottom left piece of fabric over here. Now, what I want to do to keep this configuration, makes no sense, is I'm going to take this top piece here, and I'm going to bring it over, and I'm going to put the pretty side to the pretty side with that, what we call a bridging piece in between. I'm going to pick that up. You can pin this if you want. I don't need to. And I'm just going to sew down 1/4 of an inch on that seam there, enclosing that bridging piece. Scratch it together. We've cut it exactly. Start my 1/4 inch. Scratch it together. Oh, excuse me. Oh, my finger hurts me. And right off. Oops. Now, I still have this here. Now, what we have here is we're going to open this up, and we have this funky thing here. We have this bridging piece like that. You're like, what? Don't press anything yet. Just pull it out. Just sort of push that along there. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to take your bottom right piece, you're going to put it on top. And then you're going to take your top right piece with the pretty side up, you're going to slot that right under there, and you're going to enclose. So this is what we have here. There's the bottom, there's the bridging piece, and there's the top piece. Again, on this side, let me just put these together. Put my bridging piece there, put my top piece there. Make sure everything's all, I'm a bit fumble fingers today. And there we go. Now I'm going to stitch a 1/4 inch on this seam here. This is our second seam. And right off. Now, you're going to pull this one over here, and you're going to flip this one under there. And you have this weird contraption here. What in the world is this, Jean? What in the world is this? You haven't ironed anything yet. But what you're going to do now, our third seam, you're going to pick up this piece over here, and you're going to pick up this piece here, and you're going to put pretty sides, right sides together. And then because we've cut and sewn them perfectly, there is our lovely 1/4 inch seam. But wait, right? You're saying, what the heck? What do we do with this piece here, right? Well, now this is the tricky part. Not hard. I just want you to be careful. Right here, let me see if it's in the frame. Yeah. What I want you to do is I want you to open up this bridging piece. It's little, it's a bit fiddly, but you can do this, okay? So you're going to open that piece up there, all right? And you're going to find, sort of push it to the lovely degree that it wants to go. Don't force it. You're going to find that bottom seam there and this top seam, and you're just going to match them and nest them. We haven't pressed anything, but push one way, doesn't matter which way it goes. Push one seam to one side and the back seam to the other side, and then match up that seam there and put a pin. Now we're sort of going to sew this, because it's fiddly, in 2 halves, as it were. Now what I want you to do, you're ending up with this funky folded thing, right? What I want you to do very carefully, don't like pull it, but because it's funky and folded, I want you to just take your finger and bring it to the furthest it can go without pulling it, Just bring it to the furthest it can go. You can feel it. You can feel my finger, right? And I don't have any of this fold in this area because we're going to sew right here. We're going to put this bottom piece and then this bridging piece right there, edges together, and then we're going to flip that top piece right over, and the ends match up beautifully. Now I don't even have to pin this. As you can see, I know that this is all good. I'm just going to put it under my presser foot and sew 1/4 inch. About to my pin, being careful, take my pin out and just go a couple stitches beyond. Now I keep my needle in there, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up this whole kit and caboodle here. There we go. And I'm going to bring this out. Don't like pull it so hard. Just bring it out with my, I'm using my little finger, just so that that piece there, our bridging piece, lays nice and flat. Lays nice and flat along this edge. You see that? I'm just tickling that along there, and I'm going to lift this piece down, holding this piece here and that piece there. Put my presser foot down. By all means, if you want to pin, and then I'm going to, making sure that's in there. That's in there, lovely. 1/4 inch, and then I'm just going to sew right to the end and off. My 3rd seam. That's it. And now you're going to say, what the heck have we just done? This is weird. This is what we've done. Ta-da! That is what we've made. We have made a lovely block with a secured triangle, square, whatever, diamond, whatever you want to be, in that block, okay? Now, what I want you to do at this point, you could finish this block. You could just stitch that, or not, whatever. It has a little pocket here where it's folded, right? But you could just top stitch that down and you have a lovely square in your block. But I take it a couple steps further. Now, we haven't pressed anything. I'm going to go over to my ironing board and I'm going to show you. But right now, there's this great lump. There's that great lump of stitches in there, right? So now, very carefully, what I want you to do is I want you to pick up the stitches and pull this out. Pull the top, okay? We're going to cut away without using this, without holding this, with a nice pair of sharp scissors. We're going to cut away right on that seam, that lump, just like that, okay? Get rid of it. You have a little hole there. You're thinking, what in the world did we just do? Don't worry, and I'll show you. I'm going to take you over to my ironing board, and I'll show you what we do next. So I'm at our ironing board, and this is our block. And as you can see, my geometrics are on one corner, and my florals are on the next, and I like that very much. So now what I want to do is I want to just lay this carefully, and you can see where the fabric wants to go. Now I have my nice hot iron. Now I'm aware that my block is right there. I don't want to iron that. I don't want to iron my block. I just want to iron these seams, just on the edges. Just push that over there. This one wants to go there. I'm not ironing here. I'm not ironing my block. I'm just ironing these seams. And you will see why when we get to it. This one wants to go back here. There. And I'll turn this over. And this one wants to go that way. Okay? So we've just ironed those seams. And now, what we're going to do is that makes our block. In fact, I'm just going to hit that with a little bit of sizing. I've not touched the center. I've made that block lovely. Now, what we want to do is I just want you to, with the nose of your iron, just make a just iron that little bit there. Just a tiny bit in. Don't iron that lot. Just iron that little tiny bit. Just those edges, just a little bit. Will make sense to you in a minute. There you go. Now, I'll go back over to our cutting board and I'll show you our next thing. Your center block here might be slightly different, okay? And this is where I want you to take your ruler, okay? And I want you to measure about 1/4 inch in from that block that you've sewn. Find your 1/4 inch, find your thing, and see what it measures. Now, mine measures about 2, let's see, the block itself is 3 1/4. My block itself is 3 1/4, but I want to go in about 1/4 inch on each side. So what would that be? 2 1/4, something like that? 2 1/4. 2 3/4. So actually, I did this rightly. I did that right. I have cut this piece 2 3/4. Okay, this is going to be my picture fabric that's going in my frame. This is my frame. This is my picture. So now that's about right. 2 3/4. Yours might be a little bit off. A little bit maybe bigger or smaller, but only you can decide that. But if you've sewn it like this, then let me just put that then. This is mine, my picture fabric. I've cut 1, 2, and 3/4 inch square. Because for me, that works perfectly. Now, it's raw edge, okay? You're saying, well, what are you doing with this? So now I'm going to go back over to my sewing. So here I am at the sewing machine, and this is my picture. Now, I'm looking at this. It's not really that much of a contrast, but I'm okay with it. It's fine, because if I had another, like if I had a third color, if I had black and I had a black piece, that would have really made this pop. I'm okay with it. I have a tiny little dot and a larger dot. That's fine. And if you're doing scraps, you're going to have scraps and a beautiful, maybe even a bright solid for your frame. You must remember that this piece, this 5 1/2 inch square or 5 1/4 inch square that you're cut, ends up a tiny little frame. So you have to remember that when you're in your design phase there. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm just going to put a pin right in the middle there. Now, I'm not going to pin this around the edges. What I want you to do, hopefully you can see it, this fold here on all 4 sides is on the bias, which means it stretches. And that's what we want this to do. This is a raw edge here, but that's okay, because it's going to get tucked under that rolled edge, okay? So what I want you to do, it's a little fiddly, but you can do this. You're just going to enclose that your picture right in there. You see how that rolls over? Okay? Now, very carefully, just tuck that under. Where you put your needle is very important. Let me see if I can get a bit closer here. Let me see if I can get a bit closer there. I think that's better. So I'm putting my needle on right at the edge. Now you have to, this is secured. This is secured, it's not going anywhere. So I've pushed that raw edge picture right under, and I'm just going to start very slowly. And I'm going to stitch right on the edge of this roll, not over here, not on that edge, on the inside edge. And I'm pulling it, but I'm not like pulling it like that. You see how my fabric, I'm just rolling that over. You will be able to feel that being rolled over, tucking that piece right under there, and very carefully, I have to keep my fingers here, very slowly, I'm going to stitch right on that line, that inside edge. And when I get about 1/2 inch, you see how it goes all funky here into the seam, I'm going to pick up my presser foot and I'm just going to aim for this side over here. I'm going to aim for this right side over here. You'll see what I mean, because that then, I'm going to go right to the end, needle down, presser foot up, and that way I can roll the next bit. You see that? I can roll that next point up. So if you came over here, you'd be like, oh, and you'd get this squared off chunk here. So when you go all the way over to the right, I can roll this, I can tuck this raw edge, I can roll that point right over. And then very carefully, go slowly, because I'm right at the end. There we go. I'm on the inside edge. I'm on the inside of this edge here. I'm rolling that. I'm not pulling it ever so tightly. I'm just folding it and holding it. Now again, when I get to about 1/2 inch, needle down, I bring my presser foot up and I sort of aim for this side here. I sort of aim for the right hand side and right to the point. Right to the point, there you go. My needle's down, my presser foot is up. Now, I'm going to do the same exact thing. This allows me to roll that point up here under my needle. I can roll that right over, enclosing this raw edge picture. And I'm aiming bite by bite, just take it bite by bite on the inside edge. I'm top stitching that inside edge down, enclosing my raw edge picture. Go slowly. That 1/2 inch, I pick my presser foot up and I aim towards this side and straight down to the point. Needle down. Pick this up. I can take my pin out now. And then I'm going to, again, just roll that right near the needle, tuck it right under, and you can see, there we go, once you get it started, you can see how neat my points to that point. Just a back stitch or two, needle up, and look at that. Look at that. Curved piecing with 0 curved piecing, right? And we have our lovely points that aren't going anywhere. Now, if you wanted, you can top stitch this down. I don't. I leave it like that. And we have a beautiful little framed picture in our block. Again, I just have 2 colors. Now, we're still not done. What I want you to do is we made this hole. You're thinking, what the heck, Di? Why did we make a hole? Again, with a pair of sharp scissors, I want you to go inside. All we're doing now is cutting away this bulk. There's a bunch of seams there, which we don't need. So without cutting our picture and our frame, my scissors are crummy. I'm going to lift this up. I'm going to go right. Oh, where's my other scissors? Another pair of scissors somewhere. I'm going to go right up to there. You can see what I'm doing here is I'm going to go right up. My scissors are crummy. Oh, here they are. Hold on just a sec. You know me. I should be better prepared. I think these are better scissors. You do need a pair of sharp scissors for this lot. So I'm just going to go right up. There we go. Right up there. I'm not cutting away. I can feel my scissors just putting that. See that? Just toss that. Because it goes right to that top stitching, you see? And then all we're doing is we're getting rid of that lump there. Because they were nasty. You don't need all that lot there, right? Now, we can go over to our ironing board, and without any of that stuff, which would have made like a folded knot, nasty bit of ironed stuff there, that's not there. So now we can press that really well, and now I'm going to go over and then I'm going to trim it. So here is our block that we have to square up right now. Now, I know, because it's too big, I know that there's some kind of math to figure out what is the center of here. I don't know what that is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to eyeball it because I know that this block, the way we've done it, is about 1/4 inch bigger on each side. So I'm just going to turn it this way for me. I'm going to put it on a nice line, and I'm just going to trim it. Because if it's 1/4 inch, I know it's been sewn perfectly. So I'm just going to trim it up to 9.5 inches. I'm going to trim that side. I'm going to trim that side. I'm going to turn it. I'm going to trim these 2 sides. And then we have our perfect 10-minute square block. And there. Ta-da! There is our lovely block. Jean's block. I love it so much. I love it, love it, love it. And there is the back. Flat as anything. No nasty lumps. No horribleness. It's just so lovely. I'm making sure that there's no red in my white frame there. That's very important if you're doing red and white or a dark. My geometrics on either side. And when I was doing it, it's sort of like, yeah, this was over there, but it's fine. This was up there and that was over there. But I just wanted my geometrics. You could use a stripe here. Just make sure that, you know, your configuration is right. Jiggery poker it about your frame. There's not a lot of contrast on my block. Not a lot, as you can see, as I was showing you before, my prototypes here, I had a little bit more contrast. I had a little bit more contrast with this other blue. And then this one, which I had tried to experiment with 5-inch charm squares, is not big enough. My 5-inch, this one, which I didn't finish actually, is too small. That's too small, using 5-inch squares. That's why I was just doing it using my 5 1/4, and I trimmed it off a little bit. So there is our block. I'm thrilled with it. I love it. I have to include it. It's my sort of signature block. I think it's wonderful. And yeah, so yeah, stay tuned to the end of this video because I will be showing you all of the different ways, as I was saying before, how you can use this lovely block in quilts. I've made a dozen of them or so, and it's a wonderful block. So that's block number 21. I hope you love it, folks. All right, stay tuned for the lovely pictures. Okay, see ya.